All right, howdy. Welcome back to Windley Mania, the greatest podcast you never heard of, brought to you by the greatest band you never heard of, that band being Windley. You have to follow at Windley_band for all the stuff that goes on in the world of Windley. I'm the best in the world, Andrew Reidner, and this week we were joined by Jade Koth, our good friend Jade Koth. We met him last year when we were on tour with Bay Street and Bozo. Jade is currently the drummer of Bozo down there in Florida. He also does his solo hip-hop stuff where he goes by Jade Koth. And, he's done a lot of stuff over the past few decades. And decades. And, he's done some wrestling. He's toured with some other bands. He was a composer on a feature film. And we really just get into that. We talk about it. We have a good time catching up. So I'm just going to leave it to the conversation we had a few weeks ago. So sit back and relax and enjoy. Jade Koth.
What up?
How you doing, sir?
Chilling, man. Chilling. How you doing?
I'm all right. It's good to talk to you again after... Well, we talked to each other last week, and it was a very long evening of stories and whatnot.
Oh, no. I feel like
now we're going to do it again for real.
Yeah, this is the real thing. Every phone call is like a podcast, so this is appropriate.
Yeah. So, I mean, I met you... What year was that? Do you remember? It was 2022. Well, it was last year?
Last year, almost to the day.
It feels like a long time ago.
I know. I feel like we go back. We got videos together and memories and stories.
Yeah, mainly videos that you took
to make it easier to remember on my.
Yeah. Then the Greenville, the art gallery, where I got to watch Bozo play. It was you remember all the people there watching?
Oh yeah,
the punk rock show.
It was a packed art gallery.
Yeah, there was definitely not like at least 5 other shows going on that same night with all the other actual local bands.
Yeah, on the same block
from the area. Yeah,
we're from out of town. We didn't know no better. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like Greenville's like, especially this past year, like as far as I know, just being in Myrtle Beach, like their hardcore scene has really like flourished, and they got a lot of cool shit going on. But
even in the last year, I've noticed that just being tapped in.
Yeah, there was definitely some other bands where they were like we were taking notice of like, oh yeah, they're doing stuff. That's cool. But man, I kind of wanted to start with your uncle because that's a big thing when it comes to your identity. I mean, really, even with your name.
Yeah.
So if you want to explain that and your relationship and maybe some of the stuff he showed you, kind of how it like molded who you are today.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. Well, my uncle Joe, when I was a kid, he was 20 years older than me. So he was always kind of like the cool uncle. You know what I mean? He played in bands. He was kind of like a bass for hire. He played with a lot of cool bands, like bands that not that I don't fuck with, but just bands like he used to drive for Head PE. He used to do stuff with Seven Dust and stuff. He would come up. He was in Port St. Lucie, and he would come up to where I live, bring tab books, bring merch, bring CDs, bring stickers. He kind of put me on when I was in bands in high school and stuff. He would come up and come to our shows, give us pointers. He recorded a couple of our tracks, which was pretty cool. And he passed away in 2010. He had asthma, and he basically coughed himself into cardiac arrest at 40 years old. And when he passed, it was pretty heavy, not just for me, but for the family. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of preserve his legacy. He played in a one-man band called Kings of the Highway. Yeah. And I wanted to kind of keep that legacy alive without stepping on no toes, without overshadowing, nothing like that. He played in it's like a Southern Gothic acoustic kind of thing. It's a lot different than what I'm doing now. So I didn't want to be like the new Kings of the Highway or Kings 2.0. So the name Jade Koth actually comes from him, Jade standing for Joseph Anthony Doris Experience, and then Koth, Kings of the Highway. So people don't know when they pop for Jade Koth that they're actually popping for Uncle Joe.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's an awesome tribute.
Oh yeah, no, and it's cool. I don't lose sight of it from time to time, but I do have to remind myself, because it's been probably, it's creeping up on 13 years since he's passed. And this particular project, the Jade Koth project, has lasted just as long, and it's gone through different transitions and different looks and different rebrands, but it's ultimately stayed true to the origin of why it began. Keeps me subconsciously motivated,
Yeah.
If they are watching down on us, I don't want to disappoint nobody. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. That's a thing I think about with like dead relatives. Like, I'm like, when I'm doing stuff cool, and it's like, oh man, that'd be cool to talk about this with old so and so. But then it's like, I'll never be able to do that. But then when I fuck up like insanely bad, I'm like, oh, they definitely know about this, bro. They're
for sure.
Like, I feel them like right on my neck, and it's like,
well, it sounds kind of corny, but people be like, oh, if you could have lunch with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be? And there's a lot of historical figures and a lot of musicians and athletes. And dude, if I could just get together with Uncle Joe and just pick his brain, see what he's thought about the last 13 years. Shit, there's music I discovered and stuff after he passed and stuff that does he fuck with this? Has he ever heard? Would he have liked it? We used to do like those like Columbia music magazines back in the day. And I don't know if you remember those. Like, you would get like a catalog basically of albums, and you would basically put a money order in the mail and get CDs weeks later. And we used to do that. And there's a lot of shit, random bands. Like I said, I don't know if he likes them or not, but there's a lot of shit I found in that stack after he passed, and a couple things I really fuck with. And I don't know if we got the albums because he listened to them and was like, oh, this sucks, and gave it to us, or if he was like, this is the shit, check this out. But there's a stack of CDs we got, random shit, Urge Overkill and The Point, and shit I probably would have never discovered on my own, but I definitely fuck with. But same shit, I'm like, does he like this, or am I thinking of Uncle Joe when I listen to this band and he's up there going, God, these fucking guys suck. Yo. Like, damn.
Yeah. That's another thing like that we've talked about. Like, you have a very eclectic taste as far as what you enjoy listening to. Was it just mainly your uncle, or is there anyone else in your family kind of like showing you stuff, or like what?
The whole family, honestly, they do it low key, kind of. Like, I got an Uncle Mike and my Aunt Jen in New York. They got a basement. It's all carpet proof, guitars all over the wall, recording equipment. My Uncle Mike fucking sweeps on the guitar, and he's like a really good drummer and stuff like that. My aunt plays. Their kids, my cousin Heather, was tapped into the metal scene for a while. She was touring with like Fit for an Autopsy and a couple of these other bands. My mom's side, there's singers and thespians, and a lot of them got to a point where it became a hobby, and they got kids and businesses and work and things like that, but they still play. My immediate family honestly put me on to a lot of shit too, because I got a brother and a sister, and then my parents too. They all have like their own avenue for music. My pops is really into like 50s, 60s, your Beatles, your Zeppelins, your Doors. My mom's real like 80s, 90s. She put me on to a lot of shit like Dokken and like fucking Skid Row and, shit like Alice in Chains and stuff. And then my brother's 5 years older than me, so he was putting me on to shit like Bone Thugs. You know what I mean? And like, same with my sister, she's probably got a more eclectic palette than I got. She listens to some crazy shit, but she's put me on to a lot of shit too. So like, it's cool. It keeps it fresh. Even nowadays, man, like my playlist, it's like Plurable, who's like crazy. I call him organized chaos. It's like experimental hip hop shit. I've been listening to Gym Shorts, which is like some cool rock punk shit. Locate S1. It's a little more trippy. It's not really genre based. It's more, I guess, artist based. Yeah, it's a lot of different sounds, which is cool. A lot of different things influence this that you get to experience right now.
Yeah. So Your first tour was with Street Justice? Yeah.
Shout out to the Street Justice guys.
Can you describe your first time on, as the king of the highway, can you describe your first time on the highway with a band? How old were you still?
I was in high school.
Around 15 or?
No, I was I think I was a senior in high school. There was a couple different bands. Like where I'm at, there's maybe 3 or 4 schools in the district, and each school had like their own sound and their own scene. And it was cool because we would play a place and you would get a band from each high school to come out, and there's like a minimal 1,000 people in each school. So the shows were fucking really cool and really heavy draws and like really fun. And there was a couple bands that came out of that scene, but each band would like kind of share. My band would break up. The bass player from this band would play with the guitar player from this band. That band would break up. The singer would join this band. And I got lucky with Street Justice because there was a lot of heavy hitters in the scene. My boy Mike Casebolt on drums, Webb, Heavy Jerry, who was the the captain of the heavy ship. My boy Ryan was on vocals. My boy Matt would fill in on bass. Sometimes I would jump to drums. My boy Stephen Wright would sell us merch. It was like a nice family. I feel like, not to sound selfish, but all the best elements of like the local scene that we had joined this band.
Is that was Beverly Hills as well?
Yeah, I'm from a town called Beverly Hills, Florida.
Okay. Yeah.
Sounds tight. It's a shithole. If you like meth and farming, then this is the place for you.
Yeah. And apparently a crop of like bro hardcore bands.
Oh, yeah. It was, we was really, well, I was playing with a bunch of different bands, and it was, we'll say the mid 2000s, not to timestamp the world, but everything was like bright colors, and like motherfuckers was wearing, bandanas and eyeliner and teeth, hair and shit. And it wasn't really my style. So we went to go see this band called Thick as Blood from Miami. And I remember being at this show and just seeing like these 7 dudes in like fitted hats and like b-ball shorts, just destroying shit. People were going nuts. Fights were breaking out. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. This is what I need in my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yeah, the area itself sucks, and there's nothing to do, and restaurants and everything closes by like 10 out here. But for what it was in the area that we were in, there was photographers, there was fucking guitar players, there was really talented skateboarders, there was all types of really like talented people that made this place probably a little more fun than it should have been.
Yeah, I watched. I was scouring your YouTube channel, Jade Koth TV. And I came across, I think you had like a Street Justice video on there.
Oh,
and it was fairly entertaining, just the band playing on by a storage unit. And then it would cut to the band and also some other people just shouting.
Yeah, dude.
And
like how you was originally, I think we were asking, how was your first tour? But it's leading to that, I swear. But that band, Street Justice, our drummer was at Full Sail. And he had a project to do, make a 4-minute short film or whatever. So he decided to make us a music video. And we were on this soundstage, and we had, the mics and the cameras, and he had the crew. And it was a cool experience. But then when we got the video back, it was kind of cringy. You know what I mean? Like the shots were good, and the lighting, and then the song was cool. But none of us had ever shot a video before, so we was kind of timid. You could tell we had cinder blocks on our feet and shit. Like nobody was really
I don't know, man.
Into it.
It made me want to crush a NOS Energy and watch Family Guy at 3 a.m.
That's basically what fueled that band. To be totally honest.
Yeah.
Maybe not much the energy, or maybe a little bit of like we were drinking Ice House and shit back then. But definitely some Family Guy, some Ice House.
Dirt bikes of some variety.
Oh yeah, I always laugh because that line in that video, my boy Ryan said, "This is not the end of us." That band broke up like 6 months after that song came out. We ended up going on tour with Recon and Thick as Blood. I think I was a senior, and I had to get homework for 2 weeks. which is kind of funny because we're going from show to show, and Webb was a senior too. Webb and I graduated the same year, and we would be in the van doing our homework type shit in between gigs, and then go out and play, and then chill, and then go back into the van, smash out some homework. This was back in 2007. So it was like pre-smartphones. There was like one dude in the crew that had a laptop. You could pull up, check your MySpace and shit. It was a different time.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff I learned from that tour fucking almost 15 years ago is like shit we still apply to today. There's a little more accessibility. There's a little more entertainment while you're stuck in the van. There's a little more technology that comes with it. But all the essential elements of booking, networking, getting to shows,
helping the Bozo Boys with their homework.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's shit that, it's shit that's not much different than what it was,
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool experience. That opened up a lot of cool doors just musically. But same shit, when Street Justice broke up, it was hard to get a group of people together to jam, and I had some jams with a couple of homies. I had some like startup bands that never really did nothing. And that's essentially how I became Jade Koth. Like I went a couple years like just bouncing from like trying to play drums in this band or let me play bass with these guys and it didn't really work out. So I ended up getting beats and just writing, being a one-man band.
Yeah. The change into hip hop.
I've been rapping since I was a kid. There was this dude out here that would rap, and I would run the boards for him and stuff like that. And we'd be on like old Fruity Loops and shit like that. That's kind of I've always liked hip hop and rap music, but working with that guy kind of got me tapped into working in the studio. And then one day they needed a verse on something, and I got on the mic. And the rest is history.
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah, but that's when you decided to kind of focus more energy into it after that first band stopped.
Yeah. Well, the Street J broke up probably in like 2008, and then my uncle passed in 2010. So it kind of gave me a little more, I guess, incentive or more want to do it. Because my uncle, when he passed on November 22nd, 2010. And we went up to my grandmother's house to do a little service and stuff and see some family and shit. And on his desk was a song. I can't remember the name of the cut. It was like Christmas Time or some shit like that, but it was dated from the 22nd. So he actually had gone to the studio that day, recorded some bass lines on this track, came home, passed away. And then so he left us literally the day he died. He left us with something. And the track's like, he did a lot of music and he has a lot of bangers. I wouldn't say it's the best track he put out, but the context of it is like, it's like a Christmas joint. So it's about like family getting together and call up that motherfucker you ain't seen in a while and let's smile and be happy. So he passed. He did what he did. So when he passed, and then I had a moniker, so to speak, because I had a couple different names that I would rap under and stuff back in the day. If you dig deep enough, you'll find it.
No, don't worry. I got some nicknames written down.
Oh, no.
We're going to get to the bottom of it.
Oh, no. I wouldn't expect anything less from a journalist like you, Andrew.
Well, I don't know how obscure they are. I would like to read one, and I want to see your eyes kind of pop like, oh, my God. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But
oh, shit.
There's another side to the Jade Koth experience. We were talking about your music stuff, but around that same time in 2008, that's when you got into backyard wrestling.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
How did you get wrapped up into that?
Did I? I know my boy Nero. Shout out to Jeff Nero. Not that Jeff Nero, but my boy Jeff Nero. Coincidence. We were in school and we would always put on these like mock matches, and we had these gimmicks and characters, and we did e-feds and shit. Do you remember those things? Is that before your time?
I'm aware of what they are, but I never participated in it. That was a little too far off into the
That's
the nerdy bullshit. I have a line that I try not to cross.
Oh yeah, no, and I as an adult, I'm like, oh yeah, we would write storylines. We'd have these gimmick. I was like fucking multi-time world title holder. I was the man. I was running E-Feds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it's something that I always rocked with wrestling in general. And man, I don't remember how we linked up with this cat. Yo, I don't even want to say his name. He sucks. But he had a ring. And we ended up just going out there and training. He had like this property on some cow fields. You know, there was like 15 of us that would go out and we would train and we would put our gimmicks together. And we actually ran a couple of shows, which were pretty fun. And they drew pretty decent too for some just like hole in the wall, middle of the cow field kind of setup. And then that actually spawned into working with this other guy who had his company. When
I will gladly mention names because I'll bury people.
I know, and this kid is not like a threat or nothing. Because
no.
A couple years ago, I was at an NXT taping, and my buddy was like, "Yo, you got to meet this guy. He's trying to put together this company." Da 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 da. And I was like, "Bet y'all come over at intermission." And then intermission hit, and I go to walk over. I get like 20 feet away, and it's that guy. We'll call him Grimace.
The guy with the ring, or the guy
The guy with the ring who sucks. We'll call him Grimace. Grimace. He wore this purple singlet.
Yeah.
No, but that actually kind of led into kind of getting tapped into the indies a little bit. I guess the backyard didn't really lead getting tapped into the indies.
Well, I guess during the backyard was Nero like training you?
We kind of trained together. Big shout out to this guy, Ryan. They call him Tiny out here. Tiny actually gave us the training. Took us showed us rolls, showed us bumps, took us to the chop shop, showed us basic, tie-ups, headlocks, hit the ropes. Shit that we kind of already knew, but this dude was legit. Yeah. I'm at a TNA taping.
Okay, yeah.
And we're standing in line, and the way the Impact Zone used to work in Orlando, it was like a first come, first serve basis. So you print up tickets, you go to Universal Studios, you wait in line all day, and then a TNA security guy walks you through the park, takes you to the soundstage, and then you're at the Impact Zone. They would just walk you in, but sometimes we'd be out there from like noon, and a pay-per-view wouldn't start till like 8, 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? So we'd be outside, we'd be chilling. A lot of regulars would come out. You'd see the same faces at the taping. So after a while, you just get to know these people. I'm standing in line one day, and this kid walks in, and he's dressed to the nines. He's got a fedora on, this 3-piece suit. He's got TNA world title. And when I say kid, I'm talking about like this kid's like 7. And I'm probably 21, 22 at the time. And I'm in line, and I catch eyes with this kid, and this kid just shoots me like this ice grill right back to me. And I'm like, oh, fuck no. And I look at this kid, and I'm like, I'm going to take your title, little kid. And this kid starts cutting a promo on me. So I start cutting a promo on this kid. Now everybody's looking at us. You got a 20-something-year-old man pointing his finger, poking this little kid in the chest and shit. His mother was there. She knew what was going on. She was a good sport. I end up verbally executing this little kid. And I end up, oh, that's fun. Talk to the mom. Hey, thanks for being a good sport. I like turn around, and I get tapped on the shoulder by this guy, and he was like, dude, that's sick. And I was like, oh, thanks, man. I was just fucking around. And he's like, oh, I'm actually an indie wrestler. We're doing this show in Sanford at this armory. Do you want to be my manager? I'm like, oh, shit. Like, why not? You know what I mean? So I actually ended up linking up with this guy who also sucks. He was a friendly guy, but he was a shit performer. And
it's the wrestling business.
You know what I mean? Like he was a nice, friendly guy. He wasn't the best performer in the ring, and he sold himself like he was. So actually, when he got in the ring and he got exposed, and he didn't last too long. But I worked with this guy on a show in Sanford. Oh my God, why am I drawing a blank? It wasn't an XPW show. PWF?
Was it Frank Goodman's?
PWX, yeah. PW Pro Wrestling Extreme. And we got on that bill, And like I said, the dude botched his match, and he didn't get invited back. But they invited me back, which was pretty neat.
Yeah. Wasn't it a 3-way?
Yeah, dude.
And the match was going so bad that people in the back,
they came out.
The veterans who were booked for that show.
It was kind of like that scene from Ready to Rumble where they all come out from the back and kind of hit their finisher on this kid. Yeah. He was botching shit like hip tosses and stuff like that, like basic ass shit. Halfway through the match, I'm outside, I'm working the crowd. The ref kind of peeks his head through the ropes and he goes, "Hey, dude, you might want to get out of here." And I'm like, "What?" And I look up towards the ramp and there's these big ass 4 or 5 guys coming down. And I'm like, "Oh, shit." Balls Mahoney and shit, steel chairs, you know what I'm saying? Pink. Take all 3 guys out. Pink. Pink. Then they pick the homie up who was botching all the moves. Fucking pick him up, slap the shit out of his chest. He falls down. They grab him by his ears. They fucking slam him down. They 4-post massacred his ass. Took him to the locker room, and it was kind of like I guess a learning experience. Not necessarily for me, but they sat this man on like a Bowflex after the show, and was like, "We did that for your own good. You could really hurt somebody," you know, trying to implement a lesson to that. But they beat the shit out of this guy, and the crowd thinks, "Oh, there's a disqualification. This match is out of control." But really, they're just beating the shit out of this guy. I'm in the crowd like, "What's going on?" Yeah, no, that was crazy. That was crazy. I like wrestling, honestly. I still to this day watch it, and I still feel the same about it. But you know, it's like they say, don't meet your idols kind of scenario. You know what I mean? Like, I never really had beef or conflict with too many people. But you know, it was very cliquey. It was very, you know, like who you play golf with. The people that are running the shows are the people that could make or break you as a performer. They could blacklist you. They could say what they want. And if the circle's big enough, you know, word will get around. And there's a lot of politics, man. And I know we've only known each other for a year, but I know I ain't about that shit, man. I'm just trying to chill.
Yeah.
Told you the one time, I'm fucking 5'10", 150 pounds. You know what I'm saying? There was one time I had an issue with this one guy. And
what was the big guy? You showed me him, right?
That dude, Maximum Capacity, rest in peace. No, he was tight. Me and him were tight.
He was cool?
He was somebody that I worked with. He was a cool dude. Max Cap. Actually, side tangent, you know, them pages that come up on like Instagram or Facebook. It's like Top Rope of Heaven and shit. And they'll give you like old OG wrestlers who have passed away and shit. And they actually posted Max Cap last week. And I was like, damn, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
Definitely cool. Yeah, they had the picture. He was like 700 pounds, dude. He's in the ring with like 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper and fucking donuts and shit. And he's fucking squishing everybody. Like, he was cool. But there was another dude who wasn't that big who had an issue with something I did. And he could have came up to me and talked to me. You know, I'm sure we could have figured it out. But he came up to me in the locker room with like 4 or 5 guys. And all these dudes are like 6'4", 280, 6'7", 300 pounds, 6'2", 200. I'm like, bro, one of you could probably get your point across type shit. You know, I don't know what you're trying to do. Squatting up like that, bringing your entourage to confront me. Yeah, that was pretty wild. I could have got my ass whooped, but I'm a smooth talker, you know.
That's how you got booked.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
for real.
So you mentioned Balls Mahoney. You want to tell your Balls Mahoney story? Was that like kind of like when you were first?
Oh yeah, dude. It was either the first or second show. PWX actually booked a lot of cool OGs. Steve Corino, New Jack, Raven, Balls Mahoney, Too Cold Scorpio. There was a lot of cats I got the privilege to work with, we'll share the locker room with. Sabu, not a lot of them were cool, but you know, still cool for the resume, I guess. But it was, I think, my second show on the actual professional indies, being a paid professional. And I'm sitting out back with Balls Mahoney. Earlier in the card, there was this match, and the stipulation, it was called a 2-count tequila match. And when the wrestlers would attempt to get a 3 count, if the opponent kicked out, the person who went for the pin would have to take a shot of tequila.
And doing it with shoot tequila, by the way.
The real thing, dude.
For some fucking dumbass reason.
Bro, and at first you're like, oh, this is funny. They're taking shots while they're wrestling. But by like the third or fourth shot, you could tell dudes were getting queasy. The match started to slow down a little bit. They started flinging shots over their shoulder and shit. Like this was real ass vodka or real ass tequila. And that match ends and somehow Balls Mahoney and I are in the back, like outside of the building, just one-on-one talking, and we got to tequila. And I don't really drink tequila, but you know, Balls is passing it to me, so I'm like, all right, whatever, I'll take a couple sips. And we're just shooting the breeze. He's telling me about 30 plus years in the business, going from the bingo halls to ECW to fucking WWE, you know, and giving me the do's, don'ts, the highs, the lows, just one-on-one. It was my second show, so I'm like, all right, let's see what the future holds, you know. The whole time he was talking to me, he was like, yeah, I'm just waiting for my boy. I was like, oh, that's cool, man. Whenever you got to pull away, just let me know. He's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for my homie real quick. And then intermission hits and somebody sticks their head out. They're like, Balls, your buddy's here. He's like, oh, I'm going to go see my boy real quick. I'll be right back. And I was like, all right, same. So I'm chilling. And then he actually comes out, sits next to me, and rest in peace, Balls Mahoney. But he said, hey, kid, you do somas? And just like the tequila, I don't really do somas, but with Balls Mahoney, you know, I'm like, hell yeah, dude. So he gives me a soma and we're drinking tequila and the intermission hits and he's like, all right, man, I'm going to go see some people. I'll holler at you. And I'm like, same. And Nero, who I was talking about earlier, he wasn't on the bill, but I go out to the parking lot and it's like a movie, yo, like one of those, hey, you first. No, you first. He's like, all right, bro. I'm like, what'd you do? He goes, bro, I just sold drugs to Balls Mahoney. I'm like, no fucking way. He's like, what'd you do? I'm like, I just did drugs with Balls Mahoney. And he's like, no fucking way. I'm like, Nero, you're fucking Balls' guy, dude. Like, get the fuck out of here, man. And that particular show, we got there early. And we basically tailgated this PWX event. Like Balls was outside, New Jack. There was a couple cats. Some people were like too Hollywood. They'd wheel their bags in. They'd go sit in a locker room. They'd stay away from people. But there was a couple cats that would come sesh with us. I got some really good home video footage. Just Balls telling stories, bumming cigarettes off my mom's shit. He was smashing out beers and shit before the show even started. And it's some pretty prime footage. I don't know. Yeah, wild.
Was that the same show where New Jack did your job for you?
Yes, actually, the trifecta. So we're trying to cut this promo. The big sales pitch for this promo was we were going live on Canadian IPPV.
Hell yeah, dude.
Internet exclusive PPV.
And glorious 144.
Yeah, 480p. You know, like.
Yeah.
And we actually had the opening promo for the whole show, which was cool. We basically played these losers who bust their ass and we don't get no respect and we're bringing asses for the seats and we're selling tickets and we're drawing people. But, you know, we got to get changed in the stinky old weight room. We want our own locker, you know, give us what we want type shit. So like 20 minutes before the show starts, there was bad rain that day and power went out and stuff like that. So there was technical issues. So we're already backed up like 20 minutes. And they was trying to cut our promo too. I'm like, no, we'll make it quick. Right before we go live, New Jack comes in and he's like hot. What the fuck's taking so long? Da-da-da. We're like, oh, there's a camera issue, this and that, you know. And if you know, I know you know, but if you don't know who New Jack is, he's not a gimmick. He's not a persona. He's not an actor or a character. He's a real scary dude. Comes in and he's hot and I'm like, this is not the guy I want to piss off. He's like, what's the problem? We're like, oh, we're just waiting for basically the action so we can cut this promo. The camera guy goes, oh, we're ready. And New Jack's like, all right, are we rolling? The guy's like, yeah. So New Jack cuts our promo. These guys need a new locker room. Like, yeah. That's the fucking, I'm standing behind them. I'm in the shot, but I'm like, damn, like, I'm not going to interrupt this man. You know, he cuts this like 2-minute promo and then he walks off. It's an honor to have New Jack cut the promo for, and he probably said whatever I was going to say 1,000 times more hard, you know, way scarier, more intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do a New Jack promo unless you're New Jack. So
that show was crazy because now that I think about it, that show, I worked with Sabu that night. We ended up, before that show, they're like, you're working with Sabu, and I'm all excited, you know, the fucking ECW kid in me is like, no fucking way, dude. Like, I go up to Sabu, hey, what's up, man? I'm Jade. I'm working with you tonight. This motherfucker's nodding out, yo. I'm like, you got any ideas for our match or whatever? He's like, nah, man, you know, just come get me before we hit the curtain. And I was like Dumb and Dumber. I'm like, all right, big gulps, huh?
Yeah.
So I dip. The promoter, actually, Frank, was like, dude, you're working with Sabu. We want you to wrap a towel around your head. And I'm like, I don't know about that, man. And he's like, no, it'll be great. It'll be great. I'm like, I don't fucking know about this, man. So I didn't do it, for the record. I had a very to the point gimmick. I was in some suspenders with an old golf hat and shit, easy to pick out. You know, I had my look. I'm like, I ain't wearing no fucking, like, an actual towel around. I'm like, that's so wrong. I'm not doing that. So we get out to the curtain, and Sabu's like, hey, man, I need you to find me a wooden table, which would have been vital information 4 hours earlier before the show started. So we go out to the ring, entrance hits, we do all the poses and shit. These guys start fighting. I'm throwing Sabu chairs. He's hitting leg drops off the top rope. And then he looks at me and he says, hey, kid, go get me a fucking table. Well, actually, before that, because the weather was awful, a lightning hit the armory and the power went out halfway through the match. So now we got the security lights on. It's real dark. We got Sabu and Kahagas beating the shit out of each other, following me because we're supposed to do this table spot. So they're beating each other up while I'm walking around this armory looking for a wooden table. We end up doing a full lap around the whole armory, and they're kicking each other's ass the whole time.
That must have been a long, I mean, the walk realistically was probably only like 20 seconds, but I imagine it felt like 10 hours.
Oh, yeah, the whole time. And I'm sweating, and I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, we got to change on the fly. So I get in there, and he gets knocked down or something, and I go to, like, check on him, and I whisper, hey, man, there's no fucking wooden table. He starts cursing at me and shit, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So he ends up going outside the ring. They have a couple of sloppy plastic table spots that didn't really look too good. The match ends, and same shit. When we were in the locker room, I'm like, yo, any ideas, any pointers, any certain things you want me to do? He said, no. Now we're in the ring. The match is over. He's hollering at me to come in, to raise his hand, to do some shit. I'm not doing it right. I was telling you the other day, I actually stumbled upon the photograph, dude, because it's an honor to work with Sabu, but we got a picture of he and I in the ring, and you could tell he does not fucking like me, dude. He's like, how the fuck did I get paired up with this guy, you know?
Yeah.
But then after the show, I think I told you too, my boy Gunk, Mark, who does the Coffee and Wrestling podcast, he so right, Jamie, Mark, what up if you're listening? How did I get on the Windley Mania podcast before I got on the Coffee and Wrestling podcast? I don't know. You guys live 3 miles away from me. Coffee and Wrestling.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Wow, is right.
You're going to start up your career again?
Yeah, right? Let me tell you something, Coffee and Wrestling. But no, Mark ended up, Mark and my boy Carl show sold Sabu some weed. So Mark was always, for the longest, like, he felt like he had a ribbon, like a gold medal, that he had Sabu's phone number in his phone saved as Sabu, like just in his contacts. But we were smoking a blunt with Sabu, and it was raining that day, and we're all outside under this pavilion, and we go to pass the joint, and Sabu drops it. And all at the same time, the whole crew goes, oh, Sabu, what the fuck? Like, when you ever gonna get to call Sabu out like that? You know, he was a good sport, but he definitely dropped a whole ass blunt in the puddle. Actually, now that I say it out loud, it wasn't probably Sabu's best night. But
I mean, you know, he got paid, I assume. I don't know. Did you watch the Masked Maniac do a sad, lonely walk to the ATM to get these guys paid?
That dude, and I don't even want to touch on that, man, because, man, I'm like, all these wrestling guys they all suck, yo. There's like a few people that don't suck. And this is a disclaimer. I'm not like a bitter guy who did it and hates everybody. Like, Yeah, there's
It's just what the business is.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth. I watched Beyond the Mat when I was a kid, and they had that one promoter that was like, "Nice guys finish last," and I'm like, "Who the fuck's this nerd, yo?" Yeah. And it's dumb, but it's a real fucking thing. You know what I mean? That don't mean you got to be a dick to get ahead, but they don't give a shit. I was just trying to play my part. I was just happy to be there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I got my gig.
That was only that was just one show.
Yeah.
And I mean, and how long did you work for?
I worked up until probably about 2 years on the Florida independent circuit, which actually has a really cool scene for wrestling in general. Like,
oh yeah.
You get OG.
I mean, there's the sketch that you talk about, and sort of like the people you probably don't really want to interact with. But I mean, that's a lot of places. But there's still there's a lot of shit going on down there,
dude. And there's a lot of legends you meet. Larry Zbyszko would show up to shows, and like I said, the people that were still working, some of them still work now. This was 10 years ago, give or take. Like Too Cold Scorpio and shit. These guys were veterans back then, hitting 450 splashes at 45 years old. Some of them are still out there at 55 years old, hitting the same 450 and shit. So it's pretty cool. I definitely got to work with a lot of cool people. I got to meet a lot of cool people. The Dudleys and shit like that would drop in at shows to do like talent scouts and shit like that. Got to take pictures with kids and stuff. You know what I mean? They didn't know who the fuck I was, but they saw me in the ring. They're like, "Yo, mister." Like, "What up?" "Yeah, I'll take a picture for you, young blood." Shit.
Yeah. Where'd you go after Florida?
I went to St. Louis, and I went up there actually for a steward job.
Oh, okay.
But while I was up there, there was same thing. It wasn't as tapped in as Florida was, but there was a big community up there in Illinois and in Missouri and stuff like that. I did one show with St. Louis Anarchy, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's the other Matt Jackson? Did you run into him? Was he?
No, but there's a couple cats from that one. Like ACH was on that bill. Darren Corbin was on that. I don't know if you know him. He's fucking hilarious.
It's a familiar name,
right? I always felt bad because when Baron Corbin got signed, I'm like, what the fuck? Don't they know Darren Corbin exists? But they actually had some Twitter thing where they were working off it, which is pretty cool. So Darren Corbin, still to this day, he's a good follow. His whole thing was keep wrestling fun. So he had a lot of shtick in his matches, but it wasn't overkill. It was the opposite of what I've been talking about for the last 15 minutes. It wasn't politics. It wasn't drama. It was more about making people laugh or giving them something to remember and talk about, and indie shtick shit like slow motion moves, invisible opponents and shit like that.
Yeah, I know. That's sort of the opposite of my preferences, but I people like it and I understand.
Oh yeah,
it's fun.
From a wrestling standpoint, I wonder how parallel.
I'm no fun, Andy.
Yeah, no fun, Andy.
Yeah, no. If it was my way, dudes would just come out down to the fucking ramp, black trunks, and just
no knee pads, just fucking
fuck it,
holes,
just go down there and
moves. I'm the opposite. I want a fucking spot fest. I want some fucking Karanas. I want some fucking chair shots. I want fucking gimmicks and outlandish character. My boy Nero, actually, he used to give me shit because he'd be like, "You love all these mid-carders." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" My top 5, who's your Mount Rushmore? And it'd be fucking Shark Boy, fucking fucking Hurricane Helms, fucking Raven. He's like, "Dude, why do you like all these fucking guys?" And I'm like, "Dude, something about him, dude." I
mean, it makes sense. I can, based off of your personality, you gravitating towards those guys, that's completely understandable.
Oh yeah.
Not a bad thing at all. It's just
I've learned how to digest. Wrestling was wild, man.
Yeah.
I always say, man, I could roll out of bed with the flu and write a song. If you got even the slightest headache, you don't want to take bumps, dude. You don't want to fucking go. It's rough, man. It's a little. I've done shows sick as fuck, like hip hop shows and stuff, dying. Come off the fucking out the car, dying, hit the mic for 30 minutes, go back in the car and die. You know what I mean? It can be done, but not what I prefer to do.
Yeah. So I guess you just stopped with the wrestling and focus more so on the music.
I had one of those Bill Goldberg moments where like I just wanted to wrestle in like maybe it was 2017. I'm like, I got homies that have never seen me wrestle before. And I actually got in with, they had a rebrand recently, Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling.
The Alex Red.
Yeah, Alex Red.
Okay.
I did a couple shows with them, which was pretty cool. And but honestly, I remember the first bump I took, dude, I was like, my teeth rattled and shit. I was like, fuck this, dude. Like,
oh yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's not, like I said, it's not something you could get up off. I mean, and I was working out and I was training and shit before that moment, but I remember like blood's pumping, adrenaline going, ding, ding, ding. First move I hit, I was like, oh man, like I got.
Did it take any prior, like leading up to it?
No.
Was it just,
we did, but
did?
I would like chalk it to like, because you can't fake gravity, you know what I mean? So even if you're like scrimmaging in the ring, you're still falling, you're still landing, you're still planting. But you know, it'd be like rehearsing, you know, with Winley in a storage unit and playing with Winley on stage. Like you might get the same songs, but you're gonna get two different energies doing it. And yeah, I remember I just like took that first bump and was like, damn, I don't know about this. And luckily it was a battle royal, so I just hung out on the bottom rope for like 5 minutes and then got back up and got slammed again and rolled down to the bottom. They actually said, yo, we need you to stay in because we're going to do this spot where like 4 people get eliminated back to back to back to back, and then somebody gets thrown over the top and you 4 need to catch them. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, man. I get to be a part of a spot, you know what I mean? Like I'm all excited. Got my girl ringside and shit, you know? And everybody that was supposed to be part of the spot ended up falling out of the ring before the spot was supposed to happen. So I look around and I'm like, damn, I'm the only person in the ring. There was like 10 people in the ring still, but I'm like, damn, like I definitely ain't supposed to be in here this long. I ended up fucking getting tossed out. Actually, there's a band called Porch Coffin down here, and their singer's name's Wolf Taylor, and he was a wrestler, and he actually threw my ass basically into the front row. We've never played with them yet. They're from Central Florida. But I always tell them, like, they don't book us because he knows I'm coming back. He knows I'm coming for my revenge.
Yeah. But, I threw him out of the ring 10 years ago.
Right? And the footage is funny, dude, because you even hear I hit like a before I hit
not to mention beforehand where I imagine you missed your spot, you're looking a little lost, and you're just like, someone please get me the fuck out of here.
By the time there's 10 people left, we're talking guys who are potentially supposed to win this match. So everybody's big. And I get up off this rope and I kick this guy, and he turns around. It's fucking CJ O'Doyle. And I'm like, oh shit, this guy's 6'4", 280.
You big motherfucker.
Oh my God. So I'm stomping him. He's no selling it. Next thing you know, he fucking gets me up, hits me with this shoulder breaker. And now I'm all fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Then I get up. This other dude started whooping my ass. And then I remember laying there, and then I tapped that guy Wolf on his foot. I said, get me out of here. And he looked, and the footage is funny because you could tell he looks down, sees me, and then like, oh, okay. So he grabs me and he just chucked my ass out of the ring. But I'm still playing dead outside of the ring. They go through at the spot and they throw the guy out. The only person on the outside of the ring to catch the guy is me. So I'm like, damn, this was all bad, dude. This was it was a fun experience. Bad. And working with that company was cool too, because Alex must be tapped in with some, I think he did like security work or like ring crew for TNA. So there was a couple cats that I got to work with, like Gangrel or Sanjay Dutt or, you know, Jesse Neal. He's tapped in though. He always has stacked lineups for his shows. He's always got like awesome special guests. And
there's a term for that, but we won't get into it.
Oh my God, what is it? Educate me.
Well, there's some people who might call, people with that situation a money mark promoter.
Oh, shit. Well, I'm sold, baby. Once again, you're like also the part of wrestling that I don't see.
No, it's cool.
Before this interview started, you're like, oh yeah, Jade, he's cool. He's like my wrestling boy. Then after this interview, you're going to be like, actually, we don't really see eye to eye on.
Oh, no, it's like, I like my specific things, and I enjoy talking to people who like their specific things. I mean,
oh yeah, Well, we talked about that first show in Greenville, but we skipped over that part where I saw you with your New Japan jacket, and I was like, oh shit, a wrestling fan. And I threw up the too sweet. For everybody that's listening right now, he'll say he didn't. I threw up the too sweet, and this motherfucker rolled his eyes. Like, oh no, it's day one of tour. I'm like, oh shit, this is going well.
Well, it's just I surely did not mean to actually roll my eyes. Or I did, I don't remember. But
that's what somebody who rolled their eyes would say.
It's just sort of like the awkward situations that wearing, any article of clothing that has something to do with wrestling has brought me into, where, I'll be in a Food Lion and I'll be there a half hour longer than I wanted to be because some guy is like, hey, do you remember Macho Man? And it's like, yeah, dude, I remember Macho Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, that's why I tell them my Mount Rushmore, and then they just fuck off. They're like, Shark Boy? What? Daniels? I don't know any of these guys.
I could probably do mine too, and they would be the same reaction.
Like, I don't, okay, I guess see ya. Like,
yeah.
Yep. You got to pander. Like, who you like? I'm like, I like Christopher Daniels. And they're like, who else? And I'm like, well, I like Jay Lethal. And they're like, well, I don't know him either. Who? I'm like, well, I like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And they're like, oh, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. I knew he was going to be tight, though.
Yeah.
By day, how long have we been? By day 348, I've won you over.
Yeah, it was probably more like whenever we were in Winston-Salem.
Oh, yeah.
Savis.
That was a night we all got drunk and we all kind of let loose. We all played like really, not improv sets, but I know Bozo was throwing songs we don't normally play into the set, and we didn't really give a fuck if we was sounding good or not. We were all pretty drunk, but if there was ever a bonding moment on that last tour, it definitely was that. You can let,
that was probably my favorite show.
I was gonna say you can let draws like that deter you, but that ended up being, and the photos Brooke got too. I didn't get like drunk that tour, but that particular show, glasses was like fogged up, you know what I'm saying? Shirt got stains on it and shit. I'm like, oh man. They're fire pictures. We all look like we love each other, but also very inebriated. I think you guys might, I don't know if you said it on your podcast when you got back from tour, but that bartender, an eccentric one, a fun one.
It's like a Mayan warrior.
Yeah, real like native headdress. And I know your drummer Connor probably drank $50 worth of liquor. I know I probably drank like $40 worth of liquor. I know my bar tab at the end of the night was like $2.68.
Yeah,
Connor's was like $5, you know. So they were looking out for us, you know.
We all cashed out at the same time or closed out at the same time, and it was just like $2. And me with the fucking $30. I'm like, oh, I see. And $2 for Connor. Like,
for real.
I'm not Twinkie enough.
I was gonna say they had a type, you know.
Yeah.
They said, oh, Jade, that Twinkie, that twink effect, you know, that I radiate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Man, I don't even remember where we were. So
I know we're gonna have to cut this into a 2-part.
You get out of the business. Kind of, right?
Yeah.
So what was your first move after that?
It honestly kind of worked out because I was doing this flight attendant thing and I ended up linking up with this dude. I didn't have a car. The Walgreens was probably like 3 miles away. I needed to get some groceries and shit. I had to walk there, walk back. It was snowing. And I was like, man, I'm not about to thumbs up it. But the first like cool person that I see, I'm going to just ask them if I could get a ride. And this dude comes out the fucking door. I was in an apartment complex and he had the fucking parka jacket, the gold teeth. He had the St. Louis Cardinals fitted going. I was like, oh, this is my guy. So I tap on his window and I'm like, yo, man, you heading this way? He's like, yeah, what's up? I'm like, oh, could I get a lift? He ends up giving me a ride to the Walgreens. I'm like, hey, man, you know where I can get some weed? He ends up pulling out a blunt and he's like, yeah, man, when I get back, I'll give you a buzz. We got down, played some 2K. We ended up smoking. We touched on a subject of like hip hop. We started freestyling. His cousins and shit made beats and stuff like that. Now I had some homies that I could chill with, freestyle with, go to the studio with, write with. And that kind of got me re-locked in to the music. Because when I was doing the wrestling, I say 50-50, but it was like a 70-30 or like an 80-20 where I was really committing to the wrestling and I was just kind of writing and reciting on the side. But when I got to the Lou, I kind of took it more like 100% on the music. And then I had cousins from upstate New York. They came to Missouri. We hung out for a week. Shit fell through in Mizzou with the flight job. And I was booking this flight and I had this fucking ticket ready to go. And I'm like about to come down on the enter button to book this flight. And the phone rings and it's Eugene. And he's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm going back to Florida. It's not working out here. He's like, yo, dog, come up to New York instead. I was like, damn, I really ain't going back to Florida for nothing. So I'm like, yeah, let me go up to New York and see what it is. And Huge had a studio at his house with the 2 rooms cut in one with the window for the booth. And he had monitors and shit. And his boys, Cameron and Nate, would make beats and they would rhyme and shit too. And we put together this mixtape in like a month. From like the time I got there to like 28 days later, we recorded these like 12, 13, 14 tracks. And we shot these home DIY videos for them. And we put this stuff out. And even now, like I always say, it's cringy, but it kind of was that stepping stone to get back into it with a little more legitimacy, a little more backing behind it. It was fun because I was collaborating with people that I had fun with and that I enjoyed. And that's kind of what set the trajectory of where the Koth project ended up, was from them coming to St. Louis, me going back to New York, me staying in New York for like 5-6 months. And then Gunk, old Mark from Coffee and Wrestling, he was getting married and he asked me to be the best man at his wedding. Him and Jamie were getting married. I came back to Beverly Hills for his wedding and I haven't left. You know, but
Nice.
it's worth it. You know, it's not like he had Yankee tickets. The motherfucker was getting married. You know what I'm saying? Also, and Mark will tell you, they asked for the rings and I fucking didn't have the rings, dude. Like, somebody in the room had the rings, which was good. So it didn't really stall the ceremony. So
At least you didn't have possession of them and fucking lose them.
Yeah, it was just kind of a miscommunication, you know. It was a good laugh, you know, and because I'm friends with his wife too, Mark and Jamie. I love them both. When they said, do you take, you know, Mark to be your husband? She said, I do. And I went, but it was in this open room, so it went
Just disturbance.
and everybody looks, and I'm like, so if Mark tells you about me at his wedding, he'll tell you I forgot the rings. He'll tell you I laughed when they said I do. But it was a good wedding. It was a good time. It brought me back.
Do they regret inviting you to fly down?
Period. Yeah, period. We could have done this via satellite.
Yeah, what a nuisance.
Yeah, dude. Mark and Jamie and I are really tight. I got a buddy, Pat, that lives out here. When I came back to Florida, I was still kind of riding off that momentum of the Koth stuff from New York. So Mark and Jamie actually got with me to kind of almost build like a label.
Yeah.
Jamie would write these articles and they both were really good with like websites. And then Mark had graphics on deck. We became like a team. Pat would rap. He was a hype guy for the live shows. Mark and Jamie were Dead Fly Radio, roll up to the show, you know, like legit. We had the guy who was talking to the promoters. We had the musician. We had the chick selling the merch. We did that for about a year or two. Yeah. A lot of my beats on the Jade Koth page, like 90% of the music that I rhyme over is produced by this guy named YG Hypnos. And we ended up chilling. It started like a business relationship, you know, getting some weed here and there, freestyling at his house and shit. And then we ended up clicking and we dropped it. He did all the beats on the Killing Bugs with Hockey Sticks album, and he did all the beats on the Soundball album. He and I have worked together with the Koth stuff since, which is cool because that was probably maybe 2014, maybe 2014. then that brought another extra layer to the live shows where we had like a DJ who could cut it up live and he can hit sounds and bring more of a fluent live element to the show rather than just like push and play on an iPod and hoping that nobody unplugs it while you're rapping. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of like the vibe I get from most of the Koth music is just, it's fascinating how in your many creative outlets, a lot of your connections are made through either giving or receiving weed.
You're not lying, dude.
Yeah.
You know.
But what were you about to say about Hypnos?
I don't remember.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
The weed. You had me at weed.
Oh no.
He would cut the samples live, and he would sit there and build his drums on the spot. And he was always. He's just in his room making beats all the time. His style is like what I was looking for. So when I went to his house and he said, "Hey, these are my beats, check them out," I was like, holy shit, these beats are exactly what I was looking for. This is how I feel, or this is the essence I'm trying to put out there. This complements my flow the way I want it to. And he actually tapped me into a real good scene in Orlando out here, a real good hip hop scene, beat makers, lyricists, people trading just drum packs to organically work with Deadfly Radio and to organically connect with Patton and YG Hypnos, and which organically connected me to what the lo-fi scene out here, the Free Rice Gang, and all these people that are making beats. It's cool. It's something I don't take for granted.
Was Bozo the first band that you got into in your return to Florida?
I would say it's probably the most cohesive band I've been in probably since Street Justice.
Oh wow!
Because Street J broke up in 2008, and then I started doing the Koth shit pretty much full time in like 2010, 2011. And like I said, I jammed with other bands and stuff like that between then. But Bozo, those dudes are really on their shit, dude. They're it's cool to be a part of, man. Like I was saying before with Deadfly Radio and with YG Hypnos, and there's just, I end up falling into these things, and it works out, you know, not always, but.
Well, how'd you fall in the Bozo?
They reached out to me. They saw a couple of the Koth music videos, and they wanted me to shoot some music videos for Bozo. So that's how I connected with them. I went to their house, no storyboard, no script. We just shot some footage and put some music behind it. We did that twice for Perfect Little Soldier and Lessons Learned.
Yeah.
But I shot those videos for those guys. And then honestly, like maybe a year later, they called me one day and said, "Hey, Jade, you play drums, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And I guess they have an album online where they recorded with their old drummer, and their old drummer's Canadian. So when the pandemic hit and stuff, he couldn't come to and from the States and stuff like that. He was trapped in Canada. And I guess after months of just like waiting to try to keep shit going, they both all just agreed to like cut ties. And the drummer had quit. And then 2 hours later, they got a message to come play a show in Orlando. So they called me and they're like, "Hey, man, can you play drums for us on this show?" And it's like March 28th. And I'm like, "Yeah, that's cool. How many songs do I got to learn?" And they're like, "I don't know, 14. I'm like, "All right, whatever. It's punk stuff. You know, maybe I'll be able to pick it up." And then I'm like, "Well, when do you need these songs done by?" And they're like, "Oh, our show's April 12th or some shit like that." And I'm like, "That's like 2.5 weeks away." The guys live in a town called Mount Dora, which is about an hour and a half from where I'm at. So for like 2 or 3 weeks, I was going up to Mount Dora like 2 or 3 times a week, blasting out these songs. We were just playing the set over and over and over and over and over. And I thought it'd be cool. Like I said, I hadn't played drums live in a long time. I thought it'd be pretty neat to kind of, you know, brush the dirt off that shit, kink off some of the rust. We're playing the show, and the show's going good. You know, it's one of our worst shows if you look back on it. But if, you know, halfway through the set, Vinny gets on the mic and he's like, you know, "Give it up for Jade. He's schmoozing me up. Oh, he learned these songs in like 2 weeks. He's, you know, helping us out. Way to go, Jade." And then they both get on a knee. And they're like, "Jade, will you be our drummer?" And there's fucking people while they're doing it live at a show. I'm like, oh, like that Snickers moment. I'm like, oh shit. Like, so of course on the outside, I'm like, yeah, let's fucking go. Crowd's cheering. Woo, 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 bozo. I dapped out Vinny and I gave him a hug and I said, hey man, I'm gonna need to talk to you after the show. Let's fucking go, you know? Yeah. I'm thinking like an old head. I'm like, fuck, dude, they live an hour and a half away. Yeah. I got a full-time job and shit. Like, oh man, I don't know if I'll be able to do this. And I stuck with it, and it's been fun, honestly. Like those dudes being in a band with those guys, because I met them through like the scene or whatever, and then I shot a video for them like through business. So the first like year that I was in the band, we were learning the songs and we were trying to get each other's like musical chemistry down, but we also didn't know each other as people. So like the first about year I was in the band, you know, I was trying to like get to know these guys and hope that would kind of flood into chemistry with the music and playing shows and stuff like that. There is a little over a decade between my bandmates and I.
Yeah.
So just in like a gen gap.
A lot more than a decade.
No. I was going to say about a decade. No, it's a little over a decade. I had to get to know them as people. I had to get to understand their humor. And then, you know, as time went on, they're cool though, because they're young bloods, but this is such like an old head thing to say. Like they're young bloods, but they're old souls. You know what I mean?
Oh, like, yeah.
Like
the old soul.
The old soul line. They like Vinny's really influenced by like bands like Sum 41 or The Offspring or, you know, Blink 182 or Jimmy Eat World. He also has a soft spot for like Dire Straits and like fucking Derek and the Dominoes and shit. And then Kyle's like on a different avenue. Like he likes his Blink and he likes stuff that kind of correlates with what Vinny likes. But then Kyle likes Led Zeppelin and The Doors, The Cure and stuff. So it's neat that at their age they have that type of influence. Because I could relate to it off rip. You know, I lived most of it. So it's cool to have.
Yeah, including The Doors.
I knew it was coming. Like, damn. I seen Led Zeppelin's first cut. No, I'm just kidding. So little by little, I've been getting bits and influence so I could be in Bozo at this age. But it's cool because even the new stuff we're writing, like when we toured with you guys last year, we were playing like the straight punk stuff. I love playing it. It's fun to play. It's fun to listen to. It's fun to dance to. But the new stuff is, I feel like a lot more them. You know, you're getting these bluesy walking riffs from Kyle. You know, you're getting these cool like harmonies. Yeah. Vinny's singing voice is the best I've ever heard it. You know what I mean? I'm bringing a little heavier drums, a little slower with the beats, without trying to pull too far from the Bozo sound. A lot of the new cuts that we're writing are really fun, and it's definitely like a progression from the last album. And not that the last album's, you know, bad or not as good, but you could tell like as these guys learn and progress and age, it reflects on the music. It's tighter, it's a little more mature sound wise. They're still talking about like dicks and pooping and stuff, but musically it's really tight. It's really tight. And since we spent the last 2 years playing Another Happy Landing, it's nice to kind of get the three of us to get our sounds together to this is what this current Bozo sound is. You're getting that piece of Vinny, you're getting that piece of me, you're getting that piece of Kyle. And
you guys are recording right now? Yeah, we're as well
recording with my boy Kevin and CJ. They played in this band Zapachi. The Zapachi's tight. Check them out. And they got a band called Arrhythmia now. Two out of the three guys from Zapachi play with this band Arrhythmia. And I started bringing the camcorder out to their shows, and they would like commission me to film their sets. And then a year after I filmed them, now we're in their studio recording Bozo shit. So it all is like intersecting and webbed out. And like I said, weird butterfly effect moments. Like if I had not gone to that show and I had not met Noggin, then I wouldn't be filming Zapachi. And if I wasn't filming Zapachi, I wouldn't be recording in his studio. And the community element of it is what I really dig the most out of it. You know, like shows are fun and making money's cool and selling merch is neat. And like going back to when we went on tour and stuff, it's like with the first day I met you and I threw you that too sweet, brother. You know, I didn't know how the rest of the tour was going to go. And then by the time, you know, day 13, we're in Jacksonville and, you know, it's like, oh, I love you guys. Get home safe. You know what I mean? It's like, I've known these guys less than 2 weeks, but I'd take a bullet for Winley, you know?
Wow. I'm not even sure if I would take one for Winley, but
yeah, that's what I'm here for.
yeah, that's what. Yeah, we have to call you.
Yeah, dude.
Like, hey, don't shoot yet. Wait another like 8 hours. This guy's gonna come and he's gonna save our lives.
Like I've always wanted to be part of the Shield. That's not exactly what I was talking about. You know what I mean?
So we've gone through a lot, man. I don't really have to recap it, but it's a lot of shit that you've done over the years.
It's wild. It makes me feel accomplished. So no, I was kidding.
Well, I want to ask, like, what else do you hope to do? I mean, you've done a lot, but I mean, what else is next for old Jade Koth?
Trip, because your timing too is wild. Like I said, I appreciate you having me on and asking me because, you know, I get shit that comes up on my memories and stuff, and some of the shit's old. You know, it's like, remember when you did that show in Tampa 15 years ago? And I'm like, wow, you know, like that's a long time ago. And I think about all the people that I've played with or that I've recorded with or that I've jammed with or that we've shared bills with. And like I was saying with the tour then and the tour from 2007, like there's still a magic, there's still a feeling, there's still an aura that exists at shows. And that's probably what keeps me coming back. Cause that community element is what kind of keeps me driven. I'm trying to figure out like retirement plans. You know, we don't got no 401k. We don't got musicians insurance and stuff.
Well, you're getting up there. That's
where it's a real thing, dude. So not that I can't rock shows throughout my 30s or throughout my 40s and stuff. But I'm trying to figure out ways to still be tapped in, to still be able to help the community, to help other bands, whether it be through graphic work or making flyers or printing up shirts or filming for people and stuff like that. Like, I know I'm going to try to find my way into something because I do a little bit of all of that. You know what I mean? I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not a filmographer. I'm not a promoter or whatever. But, you know, I have booked shows. I have made flyers. I've had film for bands. I've had edited music videos and stuff. So not that it's in the near future, but I'm trying to maybe get better at that. So when my body, my old decrepit body doesn't keep up, I'll at least still be able to enjoy myself at shows. Because even when I was wrestling and stuff, I didn't do music for like a year, maybe like a year or two. You get that itch, man. You know, it's like your friend going to the tattoo shop and he asks you to go sit with him. You're like, this is tight, but I'd rather do it. You know what I mean? Like, plus a lot of cats my age, dude, like, and I ain't ancient, but, you know, in a 15 year. Well, honestly, it's crazy, too, because the first show I did, like when I was with Forgotten Victory, that was like 2004. So come next year, you know, it'll be, you know, my 20-year anniversary of doing this. So I've never committed to anything this long, you know what I'm saying? So like, there's definitely something that keeps bringing me back. But, you know, there's a lot of cats that I did it growing up with, and not a lot of them do it anymore. Like there's a guy, Kevin, that plays in Burned Out. He fills in for Bay Street sometimes, and he's from my neighborhood. And we were doing shows together 17, 18 years ago, like when we were in high school and stuff. And we weren't like super tight, but we were always around. We had mutual friends. We shared bills. And now he plays with Bay Street. He has his own band, Burned Out, and we've played a couple shows with them. And we have those moments, at least one per show, where we're outside chilling, and his fucking like 15-year-old son comes to shows and shit, you know what I mean? And it's one of those trip mind fucks where it's like, damn, we were 15 when like we met, and now we're in our 30s and your son's 15 and he's throwing down in the pit and shit, and it's pretty fucking cool. But, you know, Kevin's one of like 5 people out of like 1,000 that I've ever met that never gave up on it or never quit or never. And it could be for various reasons. I got super talented homies that don't do it no more. And it could stem from like a bad breakup with a band, or it could stem from like shit studio sessions that made them hate music and stuff like that, where they still got the talent and they still got the hardware and they'll still do shit, but they're not out playing shows and they're not out, you know, doing it. Like, you know, and of course to each their own, not that you got to do shows and travel and stuff to like be a music guy. But, you know, at the age I'm at now, we always laugh. Like when we get to a certain point, we're either going to be not playing or we're going to be up at the fucking local tiki doing Jimmy Buffett covers. And that's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? I'd rather retire. And there's nothing wrong. Like I said, I got homies that'll play bars, play for 4 hours, play Skinner cuts, play fucking top 40 hits, make like $1,000 a night for 4 hours of playing covers. And meanwhile, we're driving 3-4 hours to go play for a room full of people. We might make enough for Whataburger. You know what I'm saying? And it's not a bad thing. It's just different avenues, you know? So to answer your original question, I don't know. No, I just want to be here and I just want to be able to do, you know,
that's respectable. Yeah.
Because, you know, you can't stop time. So plus I'm not really qualified for much other things.
Well, you know, well, you know, thanks for your hanging out with me and your time. It's really good to, I love talking to you. It's pretty cool to have, like, you know, there's all sorts of people you meet while doing this thing that we do, playing music and places I've never been before. And it's awesome. I'm really glad I got to meet you.
No, same, brother.
That fateful night in that town that's way too far away. And I apologize if you got to listen to, think about this. I was in a car with 3 other dopes for a long fucking drive up to Greenville, because Greenville is farther away than fucking anything else. And then I get out of the car and I got some motherfucker trying to like two-sweet me. So it's like, me, bro. It's like, goddamn, dude. Like, I can't get away from this fucking shit.
Yeah, dude.
So. But
oh no,
I don't hate it now.
You saw the long hair and you were like, "Uh-oh, is he a fellow booger eater too?" And then the fucking horns came up and you were like, "Oh no." Same, man, because I told you when we was on that tour, dude, it's cool to play places you're not from and places you've never been just to get an unbiased review. And everybody fucked with us on that tour, and we sold a lot of merch, and we met homies, and we've actually reconnected since then back in Florida. So, you know, I see it being one of those, if I'm there, you know, I'm calling. And if you're down here, you know, I'm coming out.
Right on. So where can people find the Jade Koth stuff, the Bozo stuff? There's a Bozo tour coming up.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
You want to talk about some of that stuff and where people can stay updated with it?
Yeah. Let me queue up them dates too so I could hit this fluently. But everything, Jade Koth is like the hub for basically a lot of what I do. You go to jadekoth.com, you go to Jade Koth on Instagram, Jade Koth on Facebook, Jade Koth on fucking Twitter, JADEKOTH. But that has all the other stuff I'm working on. I have a chiptune project. I got the chill tapes thing I do with YG. Of course, Bozo. So if you go to Jade Koth on anything, I think if you go to jadekoth.com, it actually takes you to the Bozo website. So,
okay.
So if you go to Jade Koth or Bozo FL, BOZOFL, that's for all your Bozo info. We actually, like you said, have a tour coming up where we're doing like a nice loop. We're going from here, Tennessee, to Irvington, Kentucky, to Albany, New York, to Long Island, New York, to Yorktown, Virginia, to somewhere in South Carolina. And then I think we're ending the tour in Gainesville. And these dates go from November 1st to November 12th. So definitely go to Bozo FL for that information. A little more, you know, coherent information than what I just gave you. Honestly, shout out to those guys, just Bozo, because they're going to hear this and be like, how come you didn't talk about us more? So shout out to Vincent Sassio and Kyle Hoff. Me boys.
The boy and the Olympian.
Yes. to my boy and my bronze medal swimming Russian Olympic friend, Vincent. Well, Vincent Sassio isn't really a Russian name.
Well, he may not be Russian, but he gives off a very Russian,
dude.
I must break you type of
he could be Ukrainian, could be Serbian.
Some Eastern European.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's all that facial hair he grows.
Oh, yeah. Now, that motherfucker is smooth as fuck.
Dude, I'm a little envious of it, dude. We went on tour for 2 weeks, and this motherfucker came back with, like, the Johnny Depp. He had, like, the little mustache with the goatee. I'm like, damn, that looks cool, dog. He shaved it the next day.
Thank you again, man. I really appreciate hanging out. I love hearing your stories, and hopefully we can connect again soon in real life.
Yeah. If you guys ever want Bozo to come holler, I write Windley Mania to the P.O. box weekly, and I've never gotten a response yet. But yeah, dude, if you'd ever need slots filled, let us know, dude. It'd be an honor to come back. Just being on this show now, I'm like, wow, the coffee and wrestling guys are going to be jealous.
Right on, man. Well, thanks.
Appreciate you, Andrew.
All right, so thank you again to Jade Koth for hanging out. He's a very lovely man, and you must follow Bozo and Jade to keep up with all the stuff that's going to be going on, including a new album and the tour approaching with Bay Street. And to both of those bands, good luck, guys, and have a lot of fun. And now let's get to some stuff that's going on here in Myrtle Beach, baby. That's right. If you like shows that go on in Myrtle Beach, there's a lot of shows that go on in Myrtle Beach, but there's nothing like a Myrtle Beach show, baby. You have to follow at Myrtle Beach Shows to keep up with these shows that go on in Myrtle Beach. There's a few on this flyer, so let's get going on these. Let's see. November 18th at Fresh Brewed, Savant, Christian Gill, Bisky Christ, Bubba, Graham, Frank the Frog. Hell yeah, man. That's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. The next day, November 19th at the Next Level Fitness Gym. It's a benefit show. There's currently tickets available. The $10 in advance, $15 at the door. It's going to be a toy drive thing. I need to get more information about it so I can be as transparent as possible about what's going on. But it's a nice little benefit show with Restless Spirit, Hymns of Blasphemy, and Bathsheba, and another band. Please, God damn it, let's get an updated. I need an updated flyer too, baby. All right, and then November 26th at Arcadia Studios, Rat Poison, Intimidator, Quiet, Warning Order, and Dead Friends. And there's something going on at Fresh Brew December 16th. I don't know what it is. We've just been talking about it the past few weeks, so I don't. Just keep an eye out on that, I guess. And then, of course, follow at Windley_band to keep up with what's going on. Of course, we were talking about it this past week, but you can pre-save the new song that's coming out, Uno Mas. There's the links in the description of the show or the Instagram. It's all over the place. You could pre-save it. I'll be real. I don't know what that does, but people in bands like it when you pre-save. So go do that. That song is going to be out November 3rd, and there's more tunes coming, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a fun way to start off the 2024. So I think that's it from me right now. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and take care, be safe, and bye-bye.